What were you doing on Easter Monday, April 21st, 2014? You certainly can't remember, but I can, because that was the day life as we knew it came to a screeching halt. It was the day that my precious daughter's life was changed forever. This is what watershed days do to you. They're unforgettable. They demarcate what was from what is. They separate seasons. They're significant dividing timelines. And most often, after such major events, our lives do not remain the same. In our case, my daughter was in a freak car accident. She was wearing her seatbelt. The car did not somersault, but it still led to a catastrophic event. Her spinal cord was fractured, leaving my daughter paralyzed from her waist down. Life as she knew it was redefined. Her old life was shattered, and a new reality was birthed. Her paralysis became my paralysis. My life post-2014 is not what it was before April 2014. We entered a new world with a totally different language. My daughter had to learn how to sit, how to bathe, how to dress herself. She had to learn how to use a wheelchair. I, in turn, needed to learn how her new world functioned. I had to learn how to walk in her shoes, or should I say, glide in her wheels. I'm going to let Ifena tell her own story in her own words.
On April 21st, 2014, a doctor broke my heart in a way I never thought was possible when he told me I had a complete thoracic spinal cord injury. Now, this basically means that I have zero, or at least they told me that I have zero possibility chance of ever walking again. When I heard this, there was, I had a mixture of different types of emotions. Obviously, I was heartbroken. I was in shock for a few days. Sometimes I would overhear my mom crying in the bathroom in the early hours of the morning. She didn't know I could hear her. I spent 4 months in hospital doing intensive inpatient therapy. I remember giving up hope, honestly. I was trying to put on a really brave face, but inside I was dying. And then they told me that I had to learn how to sit up. I had to learn how to feed myself again. It was basically like becoming a baby and learning how to do everything like a toddler. And can you imagine at the age of 27, suddenly that was just your life? And I couldn't really see past that at the time. Then side effects of a spinal cord injury include crippling nerve pain and bouts of insomnia. And sometimes working out is just a pain in the butt, to be honest. And it's very difficult getting out of bed sometimes, but I managed to push through. So to mark the 3-year anniversary of the car accident that rendered me paralyzed from the waist down, it was a bittersweet experience. But months before, I decided that the best way to celebrate how far I had come was through what I call my hashtag no fear photo shoots. So this was inspired by an amazing girl based in LA who's like a wheelchair model, brand ambassador, makeup artist. And I just wanted to send a very clear message with the pictures. So the idea behind the photo shoot was pretty simple. My aim is to shatter misconceptions of disabilities while spreading awareness of spinal cord injuries, to show that being disabled does not translate to being unable.
Today, 3 years later, we have pushed through and we have overcome adversity. This is not the first challenge that I've had to overcome. There have been many others, but this one has topped them all. Through this adversity, I have learned valuable life-changing lessons. Lessons that determine whether you sink or swim, whether you turn the corner or fade into oblivion. Lessons that uphold you through the darkest nights till you see the light at the end of the tunnel. And by the way, that's the name of Ifena's foundation, Light at the End of the Tunnel. Why are these lessons so important? They're important because reformers are refined like gold in the crucible of life's furnaces. How you push through determines how far you go and how much impact you have. Adversity can either shipwreck you or make you stronger, make you undaunted. I call it the spirit of the victors, unconquerable. The spirit of the unconquerable is infused into your DNA through adversity. Why is this important? Because adversity happens to every one of us at some point in our lives, at some point in your life. Our entire life is rocked at its foundation. You have the pain of loss of a loved one, pain of the loss of an intimate relationship, of a job that provides for one's livelihood, financial failure. The list goes on and on. How you respond during a rock my world incident often reveals the strength of your foundation and the metal with which you are made of. Your metal is your strength of spirit, your ability to continue despite difficulties. The truth is that unless you know how to push through adversity and cross over to the other side, your growth as a reformer will be stunted. In fact, adversity could mark the end of your desire to be a game-changing reformer. So how did we pull through? Remember, I said that there are lessons that we learned, lessons that I learned. To be truly honest, our foundation was firmly rooted in our faith. We got through because of who we believed in and what we anchored ourselves upon. But even as we focus on that, there are several life lessons that I want to be able to share with you. And it starts with knowing your adversity quotient, your AQ. What is your adversity quotient? The AQ is a score that measures the ability of a person to deal with adversities in his or her life. Hence, it is commonly known as the science of resilience. The term was coined by Paul Stoltz in 1997 in his book, Adversity Quotient: Turning Obstacles into Opportunities. The AQ is one of the probable indicators of a person's success in life, and it is used to predict attitude, mental stress, perseverance, learning, and one's response to change in environment. The stronger your AQ, the more effectively you will respond to adversity, and the less life's events will take a toll on your energy, your performance, your health, and your outlook. Conversely, the weaker your AQ, the more difficult it can be for you to maintain energy, optimism, and fortitude that is required to optimize your talents and your life. So you can see that there's a direct link between how one responds to adversity and mental and physical health. My personal experience also suggests that there's also a direct link to the strength of your spiritual health. So my insight, what were the lessons learned? Let's take them one at a time. The first is that adversity is a place of preparation. It's actually like a womb where you are prepared for life outside the womb. You know how a baby sits in a womb and 9 months later it comes to life? That's the same thing. That's what adversity does. Adversity, as you sit in the womb, prepares you for life outside the womb, and that's the life of the reformer. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 26 years. His adversity strengthened him, preparing him for leadership and for elder statesmanship on the world stage. The second point is that adversity is like the birthing canal. You know, when a baby goes through a birth canal, that's what adversity is like. It squeezes you through a narrow place. It connects you from where you were, your comfort zone, and connects you to where you need to be. Like childbirth, it is painful, it is messy, and it actually can kill you, but it can also birth the new you. The choice is yours. So does it kill you, or do you emerge? This is why adversity is like a time of emptying. There's a wise saying that says it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter eternity. And the needle's eye in Jerusalem was a particularly narrow gate adjacent to one of the main gates of Jerusalem. A camel could pass through this gate, but only with great difficulty. First, it had to be stripped off the goods it carried, and then it had to bow to its knees to get through the gate. Imagine a camel trying to get through this very narrow place, the eye of the needle. Adversity is like passing through that eye, the eye of a needle. Adversity empties you of the unnecessary and the frivolous, things that are not so important. So adversity helps you to focus on what is important. It empties you of what is not required for the journey ahead as a reformer. After emptying, you are filled with what you need to walk in, what you need to know. You're free to walk in your true identity. Resilience, fortitude, resoluteness, qualities that come in the fire of life. Adversity births your true identity. It shapes you and it molds you, just as it shaped Nelson Mandela. Adversity brings you before two doors. On one door, you have two words, courage and resilience, written on the door. On the second door, you have another two words, hopelessness and helplessness. You're at crossroads. You get to choose which door you open. You can open the door to hopelessness and spiral into a state of exhaustion and depression. Or you can open the door that leads you to arise and face the pain and process the grief. The literature highlights three possible different responses to adversity. You have quitters. They have a lower score on the AQ graph. They usually have a limited capacity for challenge and change. Quitters tend to blame other people. They become overwhelmed and allow adversity to endure longer than necessary. Then you have what they call the campers. These typically have moderate AQ scores and some capacity for challenge and change. Campers tend to let adversity wear them down. They resort to blame when tense or tired. They lose hope and faith when adversity is high. And then you have the climbers. Oh yes. They typically have high AQ scores and a tremendous capacity for challenge and change. Climbers tend to be resilient and tenacious. They focus on solutions over blame. They trust and they're agile. But I have a fourth one to add to the literature, and I call the fourth group overcomers. I would say their scores are really high because there's a force at work beyond human understanding that they have tapped into. So I want to ask you the question, which one are you when adversity comes? How do you rise up from the ashes of adversity? And I'll give you a few pointers. Trust in a higher power than yourself. Trust that there is a plan. Trust that that plan will ensure that it works out for good for you. And the key word is trust. The trust is like an anchor. It sustains you and keeps you safe in very choppy waters. A second key is faith. Have faith that you will overcome. And you need to see a future beyond the pain and the grief. And then allow adversity to transform you, because adversity is a transformation agent. Allow the process to create a new you, like gold that is purified in the fire. Don't exit the process. And then develop new habits and acquire new character traits. Traits like strength, like resoluteness, like determination, commitment. Through prayers, through meditation, recreate your brain to think differently. Use the experience, even if it is perceived failure, as a stepping stone. Learn from the mistake, because we all make mistakes. I have a belief that there are 6 currencies beside the currency of money. It's time to use the currency of relationship during a time of adversity. And I will explain what I mean by that. When my daughter and I went on this 3-year journey of pain, of recovery and restoration, it was amazing what friends and family did for us. That's when I realized the value of relationships. They made sure that, one, there was financial provision. They made sure that they were there with us during our darkest hours. And you know what? The work that I was doing before the accident, relationship made sure that that work was sustained. And that's why I said earlier, it's important that you work with a team. Don't go solo, because you need a team to make the dream work. So as I close, I want to just lay emphasis that going through adversity is a journey. It's a journey of healing, of recovery, of restoration. But you know what is amazing? You can turn that journey into a journey of adventure. It's really all about perspective. Efina and I have had amazing experiences during this time of adversity. We've done incredible things. As you look at the things that we've done, one can only say that adversity has helped both of us to become stronger, to become more effective, to become more formidable, and to become more determined to fulfill our assignment as game-changing reformers. I want to encourage you to turn it into a journey of adventure. It is all about perspective. As we come to the end of this, what I hope has been an amazing course for you. 7 pivotal steps to becoming an effective, game-changing reformer. I really hope you've learned a lot of valuable lessons. I hope that it has been worth your time. And I just want to thank you for trusting me with that time. I want to thank you for watching the videos, carrying out the assignments, completing the worksheets. I'm really, really proud of you. And I just want to encourage that if there's anything that you feel you need to go back to and review, please do so, because it's so important for you, for the next step, for you to become an effective reformer. It's so important that you understand every step. You understand what you need to do. You understand whom and how to work with whom you're going to work with. And as you do so, I invite you, I really do invite you, and I want you to be part of the growing community of reformers, global, worldwide reformers. Together, let's take responsibility for our organizations, for our communities, for our nations. Together, let's make change happen.